Welcome to SuperHost Labs. My name's Sarah, as you all know. I'm one half of the Carwells. Emily is not here with us today, but today we have a very special guest, one of our TikTok besties, Bryce. Welcome, Bryce.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for having me on, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being willing to be here and chat with us. So typically I ask people to give themselves a little elevator pitch for listeners who might not know who you are, but your story is particularly interesting. So I want you to take a couple of minutes and just kind of talk about your journey and what brought you to Airbnb, how you started, because I feel like that resonates with a lot of your community and would resonate with a lot of our community. And then we'll kind of dive in from there.
Yeah, so my journey to Airbnb has been A, brief, and B, out of necessity, I would say, because I had nothing going for me at the time. I'd actually lost my job because I was getting into some pretty stupid stuff. I was in a bad place for a little while during COVID, and I made a pretty bad mistake. Lost a friendship over it, lost a job over it, ended up homeless. I was sleeping in my car for about 2 or 3 days in Tallahassee, Florida, and I was like, all right, I just got to swallow my pride and I got to go knock on my mom and dad's door. And so I drove about 10 and a half hours back to Louisville, Kentucky, where they live, knocked on their doors like, hey, I fucked up. And so they were like, well, we'll let you stay here, but you got to figure something out quick. And so about 2 days later, I got a job working as a dishwasher at a cafe, which was the most humbling experience of my life. And my brother-in-law is actually a really he's big time real estate investor in Louisville. And I was talking with him at his house, and he's like, man, you got the personality, you got this, you need to get into real estate. And I was like, bro, I haven't even signed a lease in the last like 6 years of my life. I've been bouncing around from like city to city coaching college basketball. Like, it hasn't even been like, sign this. It's been like, here's where you live, here's your car, go do basketball things.
Mm-hmm.
So like, real estate was never a thing in my mind. Business was never a thing in my mind. I didn't even know what equity was. Literally did not know that. And so but I was like, fuck it. I have nothing else. I'm a dishwasher right now. Let's try it. He says I'll be good at it. Why not? I have free access to him. So I bought my real estate course, and then it took me about 3 months to get my real estate license, and then quickly realized how bad I was at real estate. And I'm not a salesman. I hate prospecting new clients. I hate all that stuff. But I found within that, I found my niche of like being able to form relationships with people who are willing to give me money, and then with investors and things like that, and then go do my own thing and be the risk taker to go and then spend my own money on things. And so once I quit my dishwashing job, and I didn't have any money coming in. I was still living with my mom and dad. I was like, I need to make something happen. What's the worst that can happen? Hey, I found rental arbitrage with Airbnb, and I was like, that looks easy enough. Let's go do it. So it's in about 2 weeks. It's going to be 1 full year that I've gone full time into real estate. So within that year, there's been very many ups and downs, more downs than ups. Very, very hectic, very stressful, but we're getting there.
Yes. The first year. I have PTSD still from my first year in Airbnb. It was such a train wreck.
Yours are in Fort Worth, right? Your arbitrage units?
Well, my very first year when I started, I had one arbitrage property in Fort Worth and it was doing really well. And so I went from 1 to 4 properties kind of overnight. But the
In the
three
same
properties, no, the 3 properties that I added were in Dallas. And
Nice.
Dallas and Fort Worth are close, but they're 2 totally different markets because there's just, Dallas is a city of 7 million and Fort Worth is a city of 1 million. So it's just a totally different demographic.
I like Fort Worth better than Dallas.
Oh my gosh. I always tell people, don't Dallas my Fort Worth. Just all of the listeners here, just go to Dallas. You'll love Dallas so much. There's nothing to see in Fort Worth. Let's keep Fort Worth small. Like, I love it so much. But entering that Dallas market, I mean, the 3 apartments that I signed leases for, I didn't run any math on them. I had no idea how to run math on them or analyze them or look at competitors or do any projections, like nothing. I just signed leases, furnished them, and just put them into the world. And then I opened them on March 8th, 2020. And then March 16th, the world shut down. So my entire first year of arbitrage, all 12 months, I put in $20,000 to get these 4 properties up and running. And I made $0 for 12 months. 0, not a penny, nothing. I covered rent and that was it. I was like,
seriously, how are they doing now?
Well, so it taught me a lot, right? I mean, that sink or swim mentality where it's like, I saw it work in Fort Worth. I knew it was possible. Oop, I lost you. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Your screen went away, but it'll probably pop back up. And so that first year, it just, all of a sudden I was like, oh, numbers do matter. Oh, competition level does matter. Oh, there are all these other things that I have to pay attention to. And so throughout that year, I mean, I was trapped into that lease. It was like, my lease was like, either you pay out the remainder of your lease and you can break your lease, or you just sit in the lease. And I was like, even if I get 4 bookings a month, it's like, at least it's going towards rent and it's costing me less. So that entire year, that's when I started with Emily Carwell Design, and we started designing for other people because
Nice.
I wasn't going to scale.
Right.
I was drowning.
But that's the thing though. When starting a new business, that I'm especially learning is the pivots that you have to make because of certain circumstances. It's, hey,
Yeah.
this isn't working. We got to do something else. And for you,
Yeah.
your design is crazy. I want to use you eventually, but right now you're a little out of my price range because you're so fucking good. And but
Thank you.
but it's that's literally what it is. It's like, well, this isn't working. You can either, all right, give up, or you can, all right, how are we going to make it work?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And
I think design is huge. Your all's decision to go design was genius, because when it comes to the design of Airbnbs, it's literally everything.
yeah. And we didn't know that at the beginning. I mean, we had no idea. It was like, the only free way to get into Airbnb that everybody talks about is co-hosting. And for me, I'm like, I don't have the personality for it. Like, I don't want the 2 a.m. phone calls. Like, I don't have the patience to like handle people with care when they like can't figure out how to open up a door. Like, that just like, it just sets me on fire. I just can't do it. And so I'm like, okay, that's not my strength. That's not where I'm getting in. Like, I'm not going to do anyone's property justice by managing their units.
Right.
So design was another free way for us to get in, where we had talent. We now had a portfolio, even though all of our properties were failing. I at least could say, like,
They at least
failing.
look good.
They're beautiful, but they're not producing any income. And so we just started designing for other people. And that's when, mentors started coming into our lives, because all of a sudden we had something to offer and bring them value. And they all of a sudden were paying attention to us and walking us through how to analyze properties and how to properly Airbnb and how to properly arbitrage and all these other things. But in order for us to get that attention, I had to fall flat on my face and I had to figure out how to add value. So that first year, though, that year is a doozy.
My first year for my first property has been vastly different.
Mm-hmm.
But in the terms of scaling, it has been a process. Because like you, with my first unit, I didn't run any numbers. Because like I said, like I had $7,000 in my bank account. I was living with my mom and dad. I didn't have a job. And I was like, fuck it. Like, what else? Worst comes to worst, I'll live in it.
Right.
And so I did it, and not running a single number. But I looked at the place. I was like, this place has a lot of character. It's in a great location. I can only screw this up. So I ran with it, and then it's been, the first one has been a great decision, but the scaling process has been a challenge.
But anyway, I missed the whole entire part where you were saying your first year was different with your first property, but it was scaling that was hard.
Yeah, scaling is the issue that I've noticed, mainly because I think for me psychologically, right? Because the first one, it was, I have nothing to lose. What's the worst thing that can happen? And
Mm-hmm.
now that I've got stuff to lose, and I feel there's that little piece in my mind that's like, you just got lucky with this one. It's not
Yeah.
going to be like that for the rest. So I'm like, oh shit. So now, like you, now I have to learn how to analyze a deal. And then when you start analyzing, I'm not an analyzer. I've always been the person that's just like, fucking go.
Yep.
But when you're growing, when you're trying to grow a business, that you gotta have that element, but you also got to be smart about it.
Yeah.
And so it's just the over analytical stuff is just ridiculous,
It's
ridiculous
for the birds.
for the birds. But I do think though that you can manipulate data, because I did go back to my first property. And I was like, I want to see, after I learned how to analyze a deal. I was like, I wonder what the numbers say about this property. And it
Yep.
said like I was gonna make $1,800 a month
Mm-hmm.
off my first property. Gross.
Yeah.
That has never been the case.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there like, okay, can we manipulate data? And then if you can, what is it? And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going through all these listings that are comparable to mine in the area. Be unbiased, Bryce. Who's better? Who's worse? Who?
Yep.
Blah 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 blah. I'm like, honest to God, I really think I have the best looking listing.
Yep.
Pictures wise, design wise, maybe not. But the pictures are better. My title,
Yeah.
SEO wise, is better than theirs. And then it's like, I'm fairly priced. My descriptions are better because I lay everything out in my description, whereas like their description is just maybe one sentence and that's it. And I'm like, okay, like maybe you can manipulate what the data says so you can be the outlier, and we can go from there. Um,
Yes.
so that's something that that's something that I'm beginning to notice.
Yeah. Well, and I think the further any of us in the Airbnb game get along, everyone is like, oh, run your projections in the 75th percentile or the 50th percentile. So you get to be conservative about it. This is your fail safe. If these numbers look good, then you'll do well. And for me, I'm like, okay, yes, I see the value, but also if you know how to be the best on the block, then why not pitch what the 95th percentile would make? Because like for us, we're working with investors and sure, you want to run conservative numbers, of course, but we're not coming in at the 50th percentile. We are
That's
coming in at
exactly.
the
We're like,
95th.
I know I can beat all you bitches.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like I'm not only watching my competition, but I'm looking at exactly what their listing has, and I'm like, how do I match it and then beat it?
Exactly.
Because
So
I want.
I'm actually in my car right now on my way to Cincinnati, because I found a place today that I called, and they're like, I gave them the pitch. They're like, sounds interesting. They were like, when can you do a tour? So I'll be there in 3 hours. And so I'm on my way there right now, and I ran the projections right. It's a 5-bedroom house, and when I ran the projections, I was looking. I was like, the rent for this place is only $2,200 a month. We can make
Mm-hmm.
about 6,000 a month. It's like, huh, that's a no brainer, right? And then I'm looking like, well, shit. Well, there's only like 14 comparables of 5-bedroom houses, but in our particular area, they're really not making that much money. I was like, ugh, ugh.
Yeah.
But then I'm going to look back, and I was like, all right, what are all these places missing? I was like, these are 5-bedroom houses. I'm not seeing fire pits. I'm not seeing ping pong tables. I'm seeing big ass houses with places to sleep.
Yep.
That's it. I was like, if I just throw a ping pong table on that bitch, I'll probably be getting everybody.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
I threw a ping
It's
pong
it's
table in
so
my first unit.
simple.
Yeah, it's so simple. And it's one of the things when you communicate back and forth with guests, and this is why I feel like I've learned a lot through Airbnb, just talking with the people who have stayed with me. What's bringing you to the area? Why did you book my place? And then
Right.
things like that. And it's the overwhelming response of people who have said, I booked your place only because you have a ping pong table in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, shit. All right, I'll throw ping pong tables everywhere I go.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
very
it's
simple,
so true.
very
Yeah,
simple.
I mean, when we're advising people, when we get new design clients, and I mean, the most common client we get is either two people, either just one that's brand new to hosting in general and is new to real estate altogether, or two, it's a previous investor who specialized in long-term rentals who's considering turning some of their rentals into short-term rentals. And so, the conversation with them is a little bit heavier of a carry on the front end because you really have to teach them why you're doing what you're doing, why you're spending money, where you're spending money. And so for us, we're like, it's nice that we can literally take from AirDNA or Airbnb their direct competitors, and we get to say, like, here, your direct competitor has the ping pong table, has the backyard mini golf, has the whatever else. Like, if you want to see this number and you want to see the profits that they're making, you not only have to offer this, but you also have to make it better over here. And it's not my opinion. That's not an opinionated thing. That just is what it is. And if you want to get the most juice for your squeeze, you have to match your competitors and then beat them. That's it.
I'm eager to hear your experience with informing long-term real estate investors who are transitioning into short-term. I'm eager to hear your experience with trying to explain that to them.
Yeah. So
Because
I mean,
my experience has been like, why do we need to do that?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm not good at explaining like off the top of my head. I'm just because to me it's one of those things. Again, it's so simple. It's just like, why not?
Right.
Do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that it's a heavy lift. I would say that, 50% of the conversation, at least 50% of the conversations that we have with people, they choose not to pursue Airbnb once they see the cost of what it's going to take to get their Airbnb comparable to their competition. I mean, if it's a long-term investor in a like mid to small tier market like Michigan or like Alabama or like somewhere off the beaten path, not Gatlinburg, Nashville, Austin, Texas. Like, that's a little bit of a easier bite for someone to chew because it's not going to cost as much for them to compete in the 95th percentile. But when we have investors who are in those big markets and they want to compete, but they don't want to spend the money, I'm like, dude, if you don't, especially in these competitive markets, you're just going to fall flat on your face. And at that point, not only are you going to be upset with the end product because you're not going to get the ROI that you want, you're going to be upset with me because I was advising you and I'm not going to do it. Like, this budget is not going to get you to where you need to be. And I don't want the project, period. Like, you either have to invest this money or you have to find someone else who's willing to get on your failing ship because it's not going to be your girl.
Yep. Exactly. I'm in the process right now of two long-term real estate investors transitioning to their first property, short-term rental. And they're like, and I was telling them, you need to do this, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, why do we need to do that? The numbers are saying this. And I'm like, all right, my guy, like, let me explain something to you real quick. He's like, the numbers can say what the numbers can say. If you don't provide a quality product, the reviews at the end of the day are going to speak for themselves, and it's going to fail 7 months from now. And like you said, then it's going to come back on me.
Yep.
I'm not doing that.
Absolutely.
I'm not doing that to myself.
Exactly. Yeah. And we do play a pretty good balance. I feel like we do a pretty good balance of making sure that we're speaking investors' language, right? Like, the bridge that you're gapping is the hospitality bridge, where they're going from having an investment property, they collect a check once a month, they maintain it, they move on, to all of a sudden you're providing someone's vacation, and how someone feels about their vacation is much more emotional than how people are treating their everyday home when they need a place to rent.
Correct.
And so for us, we're like, look, we have to put the guest first. That's a shift in mindset where you have to kind of detach from the numbers for a moment and attach yourself as a guest to that experience. But also there is, a play on making sure that they're putting their money in the right places. So, your investors don't want to be spending money on unnecessary things. And when you're doing properties long-term, you're really just paying attention to the finishes and making sure that the house is livable. And that's like secondary in Airbnb. It's like an Airbnb, if you have crappy carpet and you have money to either buy the ping pong table or replace the carpet, I'm going to tell you to buy the ping pong table and put a rug over the carpet because the ping pong table has an ROI attached to it. The carpet does not.
Correct. 1,000%.
So that's, Yeah, so that's kind of the game that we play where we're like, I think investors immediately feel like because we're designers, we want to like spend excessive amounts of money on things that don't need the amount of money that we want to spend on it. And that's not the case, which in a normal narrative for normal interior designers who are dealing with everyday people in their full time home, they can have that emotion factor that they get so attached to a pillow that somebody loves that they will spend $150 on it. Like that's not the case with Airbnb interior designers, at least us specifically.
Right.
We're like very strategic about where we put your money because we want the bulk of your money to be spent on the things that are going to drive
Yeah.
traffic and in turn drive more money.
And what do you think in the design process for your all systems? Do you think where do you put the most money in your design process?
Amenities, 100%. Yeah. And I mean, it's amenities and then it's wow factor and then it's carrying it throughout the rest of the house. So for us, like I said, we look at the competition, we look at what your competitors have as amenities. We start on that front where I'm like, these are non-negotiables. If you want to compete in the 95th percentile, you have to have these. Then we're going to make sure that we have enough seating for how many people you have in there. We're going to make sure you have adequate beds and bathrooms and things like that. And then we're going to get into the nitty gritty. How do we make this feel homey and how do we add
Yeah.
that personal touch? But that's really the last thing. It's like, okay, with the money that we have left over in our budget, how do we still make this feel very personal after we've spent all of our money on all the amenities?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So, and it's a science. I mean, now it's a
It really
science.
is. It really is. Do you put like I've noticed this one lady. She was like, "I'm just gonna buy everything." Blah 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 blah. I was like, "All right, cool. Go do your thing." And she bought a couch that felt like cardboard. And I was like, okay. We need to work on that a little bit. I understand that you want to go as cheap as you can right there, but understand like people are gonna sit on that and do exactly what I did. Like, oh, like that's not gonna be good. So I
Yeah.
agree. I kind of have a reverse. I'm maybe a little bit different in where I put my money with the design process. Like I like to have a good quality couch. First I kind of like focus on that type stuff first, and then because I don't really want to focus so much on the amenity, even though I understand it's important. But I'm more of let me spend the most money on like the couch comfortability, the mattress comfortability, and then let me go and like try to find a ping pong table for free, or because that's how I found my ping pong table. I was walking down the street, a guy had it in his driveway, and I was like, "Hey, can I have that?" And he was like, "Sure." I was like, "Oh, bet." I was kind of just joking, but I'll be back in 2 hours. and so, and, and
Yes.
so And but like this, once I figured that out, though, that happened, I was like, let me go on Facebook Marketplace real quick. $50 for a ping pong table, $100 for like a Miss Pac-Man machine. I was like, oh shit, you can find so much stuff here. So
Yeah.
now I'm
Yeah.
focused like, let me spend the majority of my money on like getting a good quality couch and a good quality mattress, and then try to piece in the amenities as best I possibly can. And at the end of the day, if I have
Yes.
to spend $200 on a ping pong table, so be it. Because like you said, there's an ROI attached to that stuff. I'll make the money back. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, those are the two furniture pieces. Those and the dining room chairs also play
Really?
probably, yeah, third in there. But mostly it's just because we have to be particular about the dining room chairs that we pick because for example, on Wayfair, like you look at the weight capacity on those dining room chairs, and a lot of them that you buy on Wayfair are like 200 pounds. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Especially if we're in Texas. Especially if you're
yeah,
it's like
like
there's
over
some big old
70,
people out there, man.
yeah, like over 70% of my guests are going to be over 200 pounds. Like these chairs are going to die tomorrow.
Yes.
It's not going to be a
Yes.
thing. So,
And
yeah.
see, and that's exactly, that's another thing too with just why you need to buy good quality stuff is because there is going to be like the turnover, the amount of people that are coming in there, just the wear and tear, it's got to hold up, or else you're going to be
Yeah.
spending ungodly amounts of money having to replace the stuff.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. So, on your first investment, how much did you spend to get that first investment up and running? And then on the back end, as you're scaling, how much are you budgeting for furniture and decor and getting it up and running now?
Well, the second question, I have no idea. The third, but to answer the first question, I think I spent around like $6,800 initially, but I mean, I thrifted a lot of stuff and used a lot of my own stuff. So it's probably be like I have two TVs in there, and both of them are my own personal TVs that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got lucky. Like I got lucky with a lot of stuff in the design, in the furnishing and design process. My first unit, a lady had just bought a queen size, like a really nice queen size mattress, never been used before. She's like, actually don't need it anymore. Do you just want it? I was like, yeah. How much? She's like, $60. I was like, yes, yes. I mean, it's like a $300 mattress that I got for $60.
Yep.
Both TVs were free. I found the free ping pong table. I had a
Yep.
place. I put a PlayStation in there that was mine. I got it for $75 anyways. PlayStation goes in there. But I think $6,800, and that's with like the deposit, the rent, the licensing, and all that stuff included. But I went thrifty. Like the bedroom TV stand I actually made out of cinder blocks and wood. And the thing,
Yes.
but the thing is though, like it looks cool because it's an industrial vibe that we got going on in the whole unit. What's more industrial than cinder blocks? You know what I'm saying? And it looks good. And then I
Yep.
dressed it up in like Christmas lights, and so you can plug it in and it brightens it up. It actually looks cool. After I got done making it, I was like, I don't know how this is gonna look. But after I got done making it, I was like, I fucks with this pretty hard actually. Like this is good.
Yeah.
But
I'm
I
gonna
didn't
start
skimp
selling this shit.
exactly, but I didn't skimp on the couch. I bought a $500 couch. It could turn into a bed. Um, the coffee table and TV stands, like I didn't skimp on that stuff. The decor though was cheap because I went to Goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
I made a big old like record wall that I got at Goodwill. I got like 1,000, like probably 50 records for like $16, and just taped them up there. I went dumpster diving. I found this piece of artwork in a dumpster that was really unique, really cool. It's like a kid blowing bubbles. It's blue. It
Mm-hmm.
stands out, and I was like, I'm gonna go get that. So I went dove in a dumpster and got it. So got that for free. And I made a dartboard in there. This is my favorite, right? I made a dartboard. I got $30 worth of corkboard, painted it black, and then I painted every local restaurant on it, and I put in
Oh, cool.
there.
Okay.
I gave it darts, and I put it on there like where you throw is where you go. Where do you want to eat? Like where do you want to eat? Where you throw is where you go.
That's
And so just
amazing.
try some creative to like bring out some more color, cheap, and something fun that can like take the guesswork out of like the biggest question you're gonna ask while you're on vacation. Where do you want to eat? I don't know what's around. Like, hey, here's the best restaurants in town. Pick one. You can only go to one.
Yeah.
Here you go. So
Yeah.
my initial design, and then I went to like I got my night tables from like Goodwill as well. They were $10 filing cabinets that I cleaned out. I sanded them down. I painted them black. They look great, and it matches the industrial vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of places where I did skimp, but also made it part of the experience. And
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
but the issue again was scaling. Like it took me a month to do that.
That was gonna be my next question is how
It
long
took
it
me a
took.
month to find everything and do everything. There was
Mhm.
also a reason I was like, I didn't. I my definition of decorating is like making sure the dishes are done.
Yeah.
Very much like you said in that one video you had. You're like, trust me, he's living below his means. And it's like
Respectfully.
respectfully, my mom was like, "Is she making fun of you?" So I was like, shut up." But I don't like I sold my I don't have a bed anymore. I sold my bed.
Yep.
Like just so I can make room for storage. And so like I don't decorate, I don't do any of that type of stuff. So it was very challenging for me because as soon as I signed the lease, I was like, okay, I got to furnish it. I was like, what colors go together?
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
And so I took the whole month of July to get it ready. And so in terms of scaling, you obviously can't take a whole month. If we're trying to get 10, if we're picking up 10 units, we can't take a whole month. We can't take 10 months to get them ready.
Right.
So you can't go thrifting. You gotta have to your second question, the budget for everything. where are you going to get it? What's it going to look like? All that type of stuff. So that's a process right now that I'm learning where I'm like, oh,
Yeah. Oh, I
call
hear you.
somebody else. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a problem and I don't have the solution.
Hey,
So
I really do want to work with you.
if you sold your bed, what are you, a couch sleeper?
I'm a couch sleeper.
My husband's the same way. If I'm
I
like not home, he sleeps on the couch.
The only reason I have slept in a bed, like an actual mattress, in the past 6 years
Mm-hmm.
was because I moved back in with my mom and dad, and they wouldn't let me sleep on the couch. They're like, they're either you're either taking the guest room and having all your stuff in there, or you're not staying here. And
Yeah.
I was like, I genuinely don't like. I don't want to sleep in the bed. I just don't. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. I just prefer the couch.
Yeah. I went through a phase in college where I had the top bunk of a bunk bed, and just whether I had had too much to drink and I couldn't get up there or what it was, I just I just got into this habit of sleeping on the couch every single night, and I was like, I live here now. This is it.
It's well, even then, like living there, I think a big reason why I don't want to sleep in the bed is because I like the nomadic lifestyle, just having kind of having the peace of mind, right? Hey, I can just get up and go. You know, it's
Yeah.
all good. It's all good. I'm a minimalist at heart.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're
uh,
preaching to the choir there.
so it's my car is making a weird noise right now. But I'm a minimalist at heart, so I just like here's my couch, here's my blanket, here's my pillow. That's all I want.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. So when you first got started in real estate, and I guess now as you're kind of growing it and you're learning more about investing in general and how to grow your money, have you dabbled in any other ways to grow your money? And if so, why do you continue to pick real estate versus other things?
I don't know anything else.
I feel that.
I've thrown because getting into real estate investing was already hard enough. I didn't understand that. I was never taught, like you, conservative parents, very safe. They were both teachers, small community. They never taught us. They were great parents, by the way. It always seems like I'm shitting on my parents. I'm not. They're great. I love them to death. But they never taught me money. They
Yeah,
never taught me about because they didn't do it. It was
right.
very practical. It was very safe and all that type of stuff. So I just had the inkling in my mind to not want to do anything safe. But I was always fighting that demon of like, I want to be risky, but my mom and dad have taught me this. And so eventually I had to become my own person. It's like, no, fuck it. I'm just going to do it. And because like my brother-in-law told me about real estate, I was like, I'm just gonna throw it into real estate. I'm now dabbling in the crypto world. Obviously, I've
Hmm.
released an NFT, so crypto needs to be a thing. But I still
Yeah,
don't even know any. I still don't understand everything about crypto. Like, no, I don't understand anything about crypto, to be honest with you. It's just like, hey, Bitcoin and Ethereum, like, they seem pretty good. Let's throw some money in there one day. But but it's been real estate just because it's a need, and you're always going to need it. You're always going to need it. There's always going to be people who want it, and it's just something that it seems easy enough to understand once you actually break
yeah,
it down. So
yeah,
I don't think I'll ever really go. The only thing that I will ever invest though is my money into further as I go along is me and my business.
yeah.
I don't want to. I don't have faith in anybody else's business. Because I don't know what they're doing every day. Like, so I was like, I know what I'm going to be doing every day. I'm going to take any bit of money that I can and throw into me, because
Yeah.
that's all. That's who else can you rely on?
Honestly, that's been a hard lesson to learn all the way around. Is it's like the further you get along, people will make crazy promises and have all these wild ideas, and it's the next big thing. And the further Emily and I get along, we realize that like at the end of the day, one, it's not nearly as satisfying if other people earn you money as it is to earn your own money. And two, nobody's gonna prioritize you like you're gonna prioritize yourself. So
Exactly.
it is what it is. You have to figure out what you love doing and continue to do that, because otherwise you're going to be miserable your whole life if you're trying to have other people do it for you, or if you're trying to chase something that you're not passionate about. you've
Correct.
got to find some synergy there. So, also one interesting point that you made is that both your parents are teachers. Both my parents are teachers as well. I feel like we had similar childhoods.
We definitely had similar childhoods. And the only thing they were probably gonna have different is like my dad was a teacher, right? He played it safe. My parents are an interesting dynamic. My mom grew up like pretty fucking rich. Like her
Okay.
dad like owns banks and shit and all that. My dad grew up literally in the poorest region of America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Where's
like
that?
the Appalachian Mountains in eastern Kentucky.
All right, way out there.
Literally, he grew up in the poorest region of America. So to his standards, like he made it out. He made it out. By going to college and becoming a teacher. He wasn't confined to the coal mines like his dad was. The thing about my dad though is that he is a born entrepreneur. He just didn't have the mindset of actually going out and doing it. He was more focused on just like creating a good life. And he didn't want to. He's like, I wanted to. He was a basketball coach too. That's how I ended up getting into it. And I always asked him, like, you're actually a really good coach, not just because you're my dad, but you teach the game, you break it down, you're good with the community. Why didn't you try to get into college ball? He's like, I didn't want to be divorced and I wanted to raise my kids. That's why I did it. And I was like, all right, great answer. But
fair.
And once he retired, now he's got his pension. He's making that money. He's good for the rest of his life. He needs something else to do. He got a sales job where he's all commission, work whenever you want to. The motherfucker is killing it. He's a born salesman. He is a born salesman. And so I'm just like, man, if you just did this for your entire life, what are we talking about? And he was like, I didn't want to rely on that. He said, I like the safety, I like the security, blah, 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 blah. And, so I was able to see him be able to do that. I'm like, okay, there's something there. But I realized that what he did was like, he was really good at building the relationships and the connections. And like, he's like, once you do that, because he was raising money for our basketball team. I was like, why don't you raise the money for the family and not the basketball?
Right.
They taught me, but yeah, they were both conservative parents. Didn't really teach you the power of money and how it works and all that. So I kind of had to just like find it on my own. Luckily, social media is a thing. Social media can teach you a lot of stuff.
Oh my gosh. Literally that's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, I'm not really a reader. I'm not really I just got on social media and just consumed the hell out of some content at the beginning because kind of like you, I mean, my parents weren't entrepreneurial. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's not that they weren't entrepreneurial. It's just that they wanted the safe route. Like they wanted the pension, they wanted the 30-year career. And now that both of them are retired, like now my dad works for me in building the Airbnbs, like doing all the renovations for the properties because they can travel full time. And so I'm like, look, just live in the property and just do the work and you can live there for free. It's totally up to you. And so he does that. And now my mom is kind of part of an MLM called Optavia. It's like a diet program. Because she was a health and PE teacher her entire life. And she's just so good at making those connections as well. And now she's kind of got this sales role. And she's like so annoyed because she's like, Sarah, I worked 30 years as a high school PE and health teacher. She's like, and in 2 years of this, I'm making more money than I ever did teaching. She's like, what? Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Welcome to the club, Mom. I'm glad you're having your second wind really late.
Unfortunate, but hey, at least they found it, though. At least they found it.
And there's something to be said about having a pension. They're sitting well with two pensions.
Well, yeah, having that security where, like, hey, no matter what, I'm good. It's got to be nice.
Yeah.
It does have to be nice now. But that just sounds boring to me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
I'll take the stress. I'll take the sleepless nights and just like overthinking over just being like confined to one area for the next 30 years.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
No.
Well, and so I had another podcast before this with another guy who's in real estate, and he made a really good point where he was like, look, real estate is one of those monsters that you get to control to a certain degree. He's like, because when you can reach a level like Grant Cardone, and you can, like, when you figure out the game, it's rinse and repeat, and it's really just the larger number that you're starting with and the larger number that you're ending with. Like, it is just a numbers game, and you can kind of decide how large or how small you want to be in this real estate world. He was like, for me, he's like, I always wanted a pause button. Like, that was my goal, is whatever avenue I took in real estate, I wanted to be able to pause, go live my life for a minute, and then step back into it and get to continue making money. And I feel like, for people like us who are kind of free birds and want to roam and don't want boredom and just want to be wherever we're passionate about, that's kind of the beauty of this, is that we can step away from it for a minute, and then we can come right back to it, and we can always put food on our tables because we have this toolbox of real estate stuff.
Exactly. 1,000%.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I've got another question for you. What are some current obstacles that you're trying to overcome in your short-term rental game? Like, what are the challenges that you're dealing with currently?
How long you got? How much more time do we have?
Amen.
Like, here's the biggest obstacle. I'm dealing mainly like 99.9% rental arbitrage.
Mm-hmm.
Increasing rent rates, and people who have done this model in complexes already, who have done it illegally or poorly or whatever, has made it difficult to get into buildings.
Yeah.
Because, whereas, Dallas is a great example. It's so saturated because everybody wants to go there, everybody wants to be there, yada yada yada, and because of that, there's now low supply, and rent rates can skyrocket, and so now it's like, okay, I can make $5,000 a month here, gross, but my rent is $3,500. That doesn't really make sense,
right?
I found a place in Nashville the other day who's going to let me arbitrage, and 1-bedroom apartments were going to make me, at the average, mind you, $7,000 a month.
Ooh.
You know what the rent was?
I don't know.
$6,100. And so it's like, okay, it would make a great property, but it doesn't make sense. So the increasing rent rates are like really hurting the arbitrage game. But then on the flip side, I've contacted a lot of people who have said, I've done this before. The guy was blah, 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 and I'm not doing it anymore. Because people have done it the wrong way or were dickheads or something like that, it's put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths about the rental arbitrage way of doing things, to where it's like, well, I'm not him. I'm not him. B, I operate in the 90th percentile.
Mm-hmm.
C, I want to form a partnership with you to make your life easier. And they just won't go for it.
Yeah.
And so you can give all the character references that you want. Some people, like, it's one of those things, like, once you get burned once, you're just like, nah, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
And so that has been an ongoing issue that I've seen. But it's, but it doesn't matter what. At the end of the day, with rental arbitrage, it's all a numbers game. How many people, in sales in general, how many people are you contacting to get, or you got to contact 100 people to get 2 maybes and a yes.
Yeah.
So, but the increasing rent rates, though, are probably the biggest challenge, just because they're getting so expensive, and how, if you're making $7,000 a month downtown Nashville and you own the place, great.
Right.
Great. But if you're arbitraging, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see what happens with the arbitrage model as rents continue to rise, because, all of my leases just renewed in March. All of them went up by at least $100 a month in rent. And that hurts, right? That hurts profit, because it's not like I'm not going in and revamping these units. Like, it doesn't. And hotels now especially are getting really competitive because they have the margin to lower the rates so they can compete with arbitrage properties.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, since arbitrage typically, is 1 bed, 1 bath, or 2 bed, 2 baths, and they're in direct competition with hotels, it's becoming much more difficult to have that value add to justify charging more than a hotel does, because there is a larger gamble as a guest getting on Airbnb as to whether you're going to get something that is hotel quality or not, because there are still crappy hosts. I feel like Airbnb, when they just released that, the new regulations, and they're prioritizing the guests, and they're saying, hey, if there's dirt, if there's bugs, if there's whatever else,
Mhm.
I don't think it's a malicious act on host. I think it's Airbnb's way of really trying to push out bad hosts. Like there
Yeah.
will be fallout for good hosts. Like we will get the short end of the stick in some case scenarios, but I think across the board, like if you're running a pretty tight ship and you're prioritizing your guests and you're offering a quality experience, whatever downside comes to you from that change is probably not going to put you out of business. Whereas if you're a really crappy host, it will probably put you out of business almost
Oh, you won't make
immediately.
any money. You won't make any money.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that it kind of cleans up Airbnb. I feel like Airbnb and short term rentals in general need to be cleaned up a little bit. So there's not
Yeah,
all these like
absolutely.
random, like, let's get rich quick scheme. Like, let's not prioritize the guests. Let's just like offer something crappy and see if we can make a quick
Yep.
buck. I hope that it just pushes them out so we can get some stability and some, regulation around Airbnb so we can
Yep.
go do what we're good at.
Exactly. I agree. I saw a video from Jeremy Worden, who was on your podcast before, and he made a video about saying that he was kind of ticked off about it, and again, like for good reason, because there are going to be people who try to guests who try to take advantage of that. But like you said again, I think it is definitely going to incentivize higher quality products, which
Definitely.
which is what it needs to be anyways. If you're gonna, this is hospitality.
Yep.
Hospitality shouldn't be shitty.
Yep. Yeah,
So
and if you're not prioritizing those guests, you're not gonna have the end results you want. I mean, you've got to put them
exactly,
first, and in
exactly,
turn, your wallet will thank you, right? It's like,
exactly. It's almost like, hey, all you got to do is the right thing, and life will reward you. It's like,
yeah, yeah. There is no like cutting corners here. It just is what it is. Your offering is exactly what it is, and you're gonna get exactly what you deserve. So if that's
exactly.
and to be honest, I mean, I think people are so worried about malicious guests, and in my experience, I mean, in the last 2.5 years that these properties have been running, I have had, I mean, under 5 guests that have been very blatantly malicious. And I mean,
Yeah,
they do exist, right? Like I had that one guest, and I'm 1000% positive
the
that
fish.
that she was the one who did the fish. Like the guest previous was just like 5 stars. Like, this is the best thing I've ever had. Like, we love it. We'll be back. Like,
Why would we put a fish in there?
yeah. And then this next guest, we're like offering her another Airbnb to move into, offering to comp her stay, offering to like clean her space 3 times, offering to purchase her like air fresheners, offering to pay for her dinner, like just really trying to put some big band-aids over. I would be mad as hell if there was a dead fish in my unit, like not assuming
Yeah,
that it was her. And she just wasn't having any of it. She was like, nope, nope, I don't want the other unit. The other unit is unacceptable. I would like to eat dinner here and not have to go out to eat because it smells like fish. I guess I'll go buy a meal. Like, just being really rude about it, even though we
oh
were
yeah,
like,
no, that was definitely her then.
yeah. And I'm like, ugh, like it will happen no matter how good of an experience you offer. But
Yep,
again, it's not going to put you out of business. And what it is going to do is put your competition that's dragging all of us down out of business,
yep,
which so be it. If that's the price we have to pay, that's the price we have to pay.
yep. I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
absolutely. So how is Dow B&B going? Is it going well? Give us an update on that.
It's going.
It's
Well,
going.
it's going. We've signed our first leases.
Okay.
We did that on Sunday. That's the issue. The issue with Dow BNB, right, is like it's crypto moves like one day in crypto might as well be 3 years.
Okay.
It moves so fast, and so if you're not producing results now, people are like, "What the fuck?"
Mm-hmm.
And so the issue that we've been running into is like, why do we not have 50 units yet? Like, we're two people. We're two people. Calm down. And the issue, like our mint didn't go as well as we hoped it would be. It would. And we're not making excuses here, but we were like, with the amount of NFTs that we're going to sell, the best case scenario, we're going to have a fund of $9 million.
Mm-hmm.
With $9 million, you can do a lot of things.
Right.
And then we factor in, we're like, all right, what's worst case scenario? We can't just sit here and hope that we're going to have $9 million and sell out and all this. what's worst case scenario? Like worst case scenario, we have $3 million in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. That would have been great if we had $3 million in the bank, you know? And that's not what it was. We had a very poor mint. And so we have, you know, limited funds is a good way,
Yeah.
so, with people who are wanting us to go boom, 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 and have 50 properties already, it's like, hey, we only have enough money for 50 properties right now. Like we can get 50 properties and we'll be out of money.
Yeah.
And we will have to rely on the cash flow.
Yep.
And so it's like, we need to be smart about this.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just go, when we had $9 million, we could afford to go pick up 20 units at a time. And if like 4 or 5 of them don't really perform very well, that's okay.
Right.
We need to now focus on getting properties that are going to cash flow.
Yep.
That are going where the numbers are good, the building is good, the area is good, we can make it an experience.
Yeah.
We've got to rely on properties that are going to make money, or we are not going to be a business anymore.
Right.
We're going to run out of money. And so that's been the biggest challenge, is finding quality properties that are going to make money. And that's why we're not scaling as fast as we want to, because we've turned down properties.
Right.
We've turned down, like, here's 5, and we're like, no.
Yeah.
No. But so we've transitioned, like, hey, we need to get big one-off properties. So we signed a lease for a 3-bedroom. It's actually a triplex. It's 2 3-bedrooms and a studio. We signed a lease for 1, and as they become available, we're going to take those. And then really nice property. Today I'm going to see a 5-bedroom house. So between those 2 properties, that could net us anywhere between, $8 to $12,000 a month.
Right.
Off 2 separate properties.
Right.
And people aren't going to like that, because, like, well, we want this, because the big part of the DAO is that you can stay in these properties for free.
Right.
That's but at the end of the day, it's also like, hey, the profit sharing system, like, you're going to be making money off these properties.
Yeah, don't stay in them.
So
Yeah.
would you rather make the money or stay in them? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we need to focus on getting the good quality properties that are going to actually make the money. And then people are, it's going to be one of those things, sorry about it, where people are just going to suck it up.
Yeah.
We are building an actual real estate business here.
Right. And
actual big businesses take a while to grow.
Yeah.
We're doing the work. We're fine. We're getting the leads. We're getting the properties. It's just not as fast as everybody wants it to be.
Yeah, the real world moves a little bit slower than the digital world. So give us a minute.
And so we actually, and the thing is, and one of the things about it is, a lot of these people don't know what arbitrage entails. And it's like, we had 5 properties in Louisville where we are on lock. Like, we made the call, we did the tours, like, yep, everything's good to go. He was like, I'm going on vacation for a week starting tomorrow. He said, I'm going to be out of commission. I'm going on a cruise. I'm not going to have my phone. When I get back, we'll get all the paperwork settled. Fantastic. So people are like, I thought we had these properties on Louisville locked down. Well, the guy is gone. Like, we can't do anything for a week. So chill. We're going to go do all these other things. These are on lock.
Yeah.
Comes back after vacation. He's like, I thought about it. I don't want to do it anymore. We're like, bro, you can't do that to it. You can't do that.
Right.
And so, but that's the stuff, but that's the stuff that we have to deal with in the arbitrage world, is, we're on other people's time. Like, they are holding the ticket.
Right.
And we have to convince them to give us the ticket. So people are like, we thought we would have leases signed by now. It's like, hey, you don't understand, like, the negotiation process, the talking them in process, the paperwork process, the corporate aspect of things anyways takes time.
Right.
And then we're finding out, okay, as we're going into other states, we have to register, like, with some states, we have to register as a whole ass business in that state.
Yep.
And so that process takes time. And then, so it's a lot of stuff, the learning curves of starting a startup business that you just weren't prepared for. Part of it, got to roll with it, got to pivot, got to do something else. And so that's where we're at.
Do you think that you guys are ever going to get into purchasing properties, or do you think you'll stick with the arbitrage model?
We would love to purchase properties, and I want to purchase properties personally and, like, donate them to the DAO.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be a good double whammy for Bryce Garris as an individual.
Right.
And so purchasing properties, yes, we would want to, but like right now with the funds that we have, we could go buy a house right now. Congratulations, we just spent all our money on one property.
Right.
So eventually we would love to do that, but we just can't right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and at those beginning stages, I mean, we're learning that in SuperHost Labs too. Like, I'm not the numbers girl. It's just never been my role. Like, I'm the creative, and I'm the engine that's going to be pulling all of us into a direction because I can't even see the downside, right? So,
exactly.
Like, I'll keep the wheels turning, but I need you all to be like checking my work. And so being in SuperHost Labs and dealing with investors and dealing with other people's money, it's been such an eye opener because I guess I was under this impression that, you see these insane Airbnbs like giant tree houses or the invisible house in Joshua Tree or like row built tiny homes everywhere, and you just assume that the more unique the space, the more effort you put into the space, the higher return that property will have. And that's not, those two things don't correlate. It really is like a case by case scenario, and you have to look at, like, some of these properties, they require no amenities at all. It's just in a weird market where you can put beds in there and you don't have a lot of competition, and it's going to have an insane return. And then there's other markets where you have to literally spend every single blood, sweat, and tears that you've got on it to make it even viable to run in the 95th percentile. Right. And it's all over the board. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters at the beginning when you're dealing with investors' money is the numbers, and do they make sense, and is it super profitable? And so,
because apparently the analytical people don't like just hearing, oh no, it's gonna work.
I'm like, that's not enough for you? Like, what?
That's it. That's like enough for me. Someone's like, hey, you'll make this amount of money. Okay,
we'll try it out. Like, sure. And it comes from a place of like, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen for us, right? But that's not how the rest of the world functions. And so it really is a game of like taking mitigated risks and understanding what, the country as a whole is doing, and how do we responsibly deploy money, and all of those things. And it's so valuable to learn. I'm so thankful that we're going through this process because I'm getting to learn a lot. But holy cow, it's so much different than how I operated at the beginning, or you operated at the beginning.
I'm still in that. I'm still like, bro, let's just go. Like because that is my biggest pet peeve in this world are the people who are the overthinkers, the overanalyzers, the people who just try to be safe, like look both ways and all that stuff. Like, no, like just go make a decision.
Right.
Make a fucking decision.
Right.
So that is my biggest pet peeve, and like it's something that I'm having to learn to get over personally. Because people are not like us,
right?
Where they're just like, let's fucking go. They have to look at every little thing, every little detail. I'm like,
right?
Done yet? Are you done yet? Like,
are we on board yet or no?
But yeah, it's the number you have. So that's part of the learning curve, though. As we grow, is getting to the people with the money who want to invest to break down everything. Like, hey, this is because they have to win at the end of the day. You're using their money, so you do have to appeal to them. It's just like an Airbnb, designing it. Like, you can't just give a slapdash product. You have to give a quality product to the guests. You have to give a quality product to the person whose money you're going to be using. It's all, all hospitality, I guess, making sure everybody's taken care of.
Yeah. And then the component of, offering them a place to stay. Like, we're having those conversations internally as well, where, all of our investors, or not all of them, but some of them really want the lifestyle component added with investing with us. And so they're like, of course, we want to give you money. We see the value in Airbnb. We don't have the time to learn it, so we want to invest it with you. But, in these properties that we own portions of, can we also utilize them for our vacations? And, it's like when you've got a property where you've got a pool of investors, and let's say, 50 people all own a portion of this property, like, and you and your family who own 50th of it wants to stay their 4th of July weekend. We're like,
no,
that's not how that works. But still, is there like some sort of a happy medium, right? Is there a way that we can one, just utilize their money and make their money grow, but two, is there a way that we can pair it with maybe lower returns, but there is a utility factor to it? Like, we don't know yet, right? Like, we don't have the answers either. We're like kind of sorting out and running, analytics on what that looks like long term and what's worst case scenario and best case scenario, because that's what people want. People want to be able to invest in something that's cool and also go and use it. Like, how cool would it be to walk into a property where you handed someone 25 grand and you're like, I own part of this. I could have never done this alone, and I own part of this, and now I'm getting to like make memories with my family in this thing that I invested in. I just think that would be invaluable, but it just gets really sticky really fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing when they want to use it, because that is the cool thing about Airbnb, is like, I can make money on this and use it.
Mm-hmm.
But people do want to use it, like you said, 4th of July weekend. Like, that's a premium day. Like,
right.
We want to make, at the end of the day, we want to make the money. So but with our DAO though, that was a concern for us. When we were debating, like when we were setting everything up, we were like, are we going to do blackout days? Because we're offering free stays, but if we have a property in Louisville, Kentucky during the weekend of the Kentucky Derby, when we can go and make $1,000 a night, people are going to be in there. That's going to hurt us bad.
Yeah.
But we're like, well,
I know we needed their money to start, so how bad does it hurt?
Right. So it's definitely a decision that we really battled with, but we're like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, we'll try it. We'll try it until it fails.
We'll try it until it fails. Until we're like, hey, we're losing money. Blackout. Like, we're not letting you stay during the cool times. No.
Yep. Yeah,
Sorry,
absolutely. There has to be a line that's drawn. Also, it's one of my biggest, well, not one of my biggest goals, but one of my bucket list items is to go to that Kentucky Derby. And when I go, I'm going to end up staying in your spot. So
please book it 3 years in advance.
I know, I need to. I want to wear the big hat and the big poofy dress and do the whole thing.
It's a great time. It's a great time. Like, the city is vibrant. There's so much stuff going on. Money's being made. If you can't make $5,000 that weekend, you didn't try. So it really is crazy. Like, I have a 1-bedroom apartment downtown Louisville. I'm like 4 miles away from the track. Back in September, I put my price at like $900 a night during that week, and I got it booked in September. I was like, shit, I should have made $2,000 a night. What was I doing?
Damn it! It was priced too low.
And so, that's how big the Kentucky Derby is. People are willing to spend $900 a night for a 1-bedroom apartment 9 months in advance.
Yep, I believe it.
Oh, bro.
Never mind. Bro. I'm gonna bring my van, and I'll be parked on the street outside of your one.
You can park it. You can park it right outside my house.
Yes. I keep telling SuperHost Labs, I'm like, I really feel like it would be great for marketing if you guys would wrap my van in SuperHost Labs colors, and we could just drive it around.
That would be good marketing.
They're not biting yet. They're like, we don't have the money for that yet. I'm like, okay. Well, when we do, I'll be knocking on your door again.
When we do, let's do it. Marketing is a market. We should spare no expense when it comes to marketing. The more marketing, the better.
Honestly, that's how I feel. So talk to me about your long-term goals. Like, now that you've got the first year under your belt, you see it as something that you want to continue pursuing. Like, what is the big picture here? What's the 5 and 10 year goals?
I stopped setting goals.
Yeah?
I don't set goals anymore. I especially don't. I take that back. I set goals. I don't put time frames on them.
Okay.
There's been too many instances where it's like, by this time I need to have this, I need to have that, and all it does is create anxiety and like, well, fuck, I'm not blah 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 blah. So I stopped putting time frames on stuff. My ultimate goals with my life, like, I want to attack life, right? I want to do everything, and the thing about that is, like, because I've noticed, like, if I actually put my mind to something, I can do it really well. And so I do have goals outside of real estate, but it took me. Okay, here's a great story. It took me 3 times to pass my real estate exam.
Okay.
And the second time I failed it, I was having lunch with my brother-in-law, and I was like, dude, I don't know. Like, you talked me into this. I've already spent $1,000. I really don't feel like I'm going to pass this test. I was like, if I fail it one more time, I'm not taking it anymore. and I'm going to do what I've wanted to do since I was 16 years old, which is walk across the country.
Okay.
And he was like, okay, well, he said, I'm all for you walking across the country, Bryce. I'm all for it. But let's do it responsibly. He was like, responsible. I was like, responsible is not me. I don't do things responsibly.
Right.
And he was like, I know, and look where that's gotten you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, true.
Damn it. Checkmate.
And so he was like, I'm all for you walking across the country. How can we break it down? How can we do it in a responsible way? He was like, for the next 5 years of your life, we're putting time frames on it, but I took the time frames out. He's like, you bust your ass the next 5 years. You have all this passive income coming. Then you can walk across the country, be paid while doing it, miss nothing, and then come back to money still being made, as opposed to if you walked across the country now, you do it, you finish, and then what?
Right.
And I was like, figure it out. You know what I'm saying? He's like,
go back to sleeping on the couch.
Go back to sleeping on the couch. Yeah. And he was like, Bryce, come on. Like, I was like, all right, fair. That's a good compromise. So my long-term goal is I want to build enough steady income because I don't give a shit about real estate. I don't. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not money motivated, although I understand its importance. Because I don't want to be rich. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, it's like, am I cool up here? And like right now, I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life right now. I'm still not cool up there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I want to get to a point where I'm like, I'm not worried about the money. I have enough money where I can live my type of lifestyle, but I'm cool. But I'm not worried about it. And I want to build up enough passive income streams so where I can just kind of fuck off for the next 6 months and not to vacation, not to do nothing, but to go and attack the things that I want to do, to go and do the other things. And some of the things that I really want to accomplish in my life, I want to walk across the country. That I want to do that for years. It's never left my mind. I'm not going to be satisfied until I do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things. I want to write a TV show. And I want to write a book, which I'm actually.
Oh no, you're breaking up. I heard TV show. What about the TV show?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So walk across the country. Have to do it.
Okay.
Write a TV show.
Okay.
Have to do it. I'm already working on it.
What type of TV show?
Sci-fi horror comedy.
Oh, okay.
I love parody. I love parodies, like scary movie.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So I kind of ripped that off. I make the concept is scary show.
Okay.
Where you kind of rip off some other TV shows, but like kind of like indirectly.
Yeah.
But I've been working on that for 3 years.
That's so
once I got busy with like Airbnb and stuff, I put that on the back burner. Like I can pick this back up once I can.
Right.
I want to write a book as well. I love writing.
Really? Yeah, me too.
It's very nice. It's therapeutic to get all your thoughts out of your head.
Mm-hmm. Helps you sleep better.
I want to write a book, which I'm actually working on that right now actively. It's an Airbnb book, and the title is like pretty much everything you need to know about rental arbitrage and how to manage a successful short-term rental business as a whole. Long title. That's the point.
Right. It's like the 7-second video on TikTok.
Exactly. And so I want to write that because I feel like that could be like one thing that I produce right now, which I make it one time, sell it for like $10-15 at a time. People, it's literally everything you need to know.
Right.
Here. And so instead of me taking phone calls and mentorships and making a course, is buy the book.
Yep.
Buy the book. And so I want to do that. And that's pretty much it. Like that's my long-term goal. Oh, and I want to marry Emma Watson.
Yeah, me too.
And you can't. And I feel like in order to marry Emma Watson, you have to either be like really intelligent, which I'm not, or you have to be really rich. So I can make one of those things happen at least.
Or I feel like she would also be persuaded by meeting someone really interesting. I feel like that could be your twist. You could be rich and interesting.
Rich and interesting is my idea. I want to be my deepest darkest fantasy is I want to be the guy who just got like a fucking $1 billion, who just But I want to be Adam Sandler rich and be like Adam Sandler, where he just wears like basketball shorts and t-shirts all day.
Yes.
Even though he's got $500 million sitting in the bank.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's like, don't be flashy with it. Help people out. Like, I would love that, but also have my colorful personality and all that stuff too. So, but yeah, but those are my long-term goals right there. They're not even real estate related. Just like build up enough money with the real estate where I can go and do all the other stuff that I want to do with life.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that's a really common thread it's like there's two real estate investors. There's one who's like got the Grant Cardone bug and they want to be a gazillionaire and they want to be in private jets and they want all the fancy things and this is the way that they're going to be able to fund it. They're like responsibly wealthy, but wealthy. Like that's the focus. Yeah. And then there are people, because I'm on your train. I'm like, I just want to go scuba dive. I'm literally like ready to walk away from real estate and go back to serving because I thought serving was like the greatest gig in the entire world. I like the short, stints with people. I like that the worst thing that you can do is fuck up someone's food. Like there's no stress, right? It's like in comparison to other careers, there just isn't a lot of stress. And so like stick me on like a beach on a little tiny shack that like has, 3 different meals that you can choose from and lots of margaritas and like let me sling those all day.
I'm in. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and that's what Airbnb can provide you, right? Because for Airbnbs, one Airbnb can change your life. One Airbnb changed my life.
Same.
So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you just go get 5 of those, which is doable.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I just had to replace my $50,000 a year job, right? Like that was my husband had built this insurance company, or I guess we had built it 3 years prior, and we built that into something that provided him some residual income. He sells Medicare, and so when you sell Medicare, you get like a small upfront payout, and then every single month after that, as long as the client is alive, because you're dealing with 65 plus, you get $20 a month. And so as you get to 1,000 clients, all of a sudden you've got a bunch of money coming in every month. And so he was like, I'm going to retire you. Like 2021, I'm going to retire you. And I was like, no. Like that sounds like a world of disaster. Like I'm too active. There's too much going on in this noggin up here. This noggin will get very unhealthy very quickly if you want me to be like a couch potato. I can't do it.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, like the second we replaced that income and I got the 4 arbitrage properties and they were bringing in over $4,000 profit a month, we dropped it all. He stopped selling insurance for 4 months. I stopped doing everything for 4 months and we just got in that van and went across the country. And it was like, it just felt, when we were done, it was like, okay, now it's time to step back into real estate. Let's buy a property. Let's do it all again. But we're operating out of a corner of happiness, at peace, low anxiety. It's like we don't have to be doing this, but we know how to do this to make our lives better. And we just got done having all this fun and we're ready to go and do something productive again. So let's do it. And then let's go back to doing nothing again.
And then go have fun. Then you do the job, you go have fun. You do the job, you go have fun. It's rinse and repeat at that time. And like you said, you're doing it from a standpoint of chill. What, it took you 6 months to get that lake house, right?
Yeah.
Get that lake house ready? Like that entire time, you probably could have got it done faster if you had to.
Yeah, we definitely could have.
You're in there like chilling, living in the lake house in Michigan. Like that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was like, do we want to tile the bathroom walls or do we want to cook chili and sit by the fire? Which
chili
one?
And fire. Chili and fire. All day long.
Right. So, I mean, it's a lot of work to bring them to life, but it's like, okay, 6 months of hard work, and all of a sudden we've got a, $4,000 to $8,000 raise a month. Like, shit. Like, nobody's giving you a raise at your 9 to 5 that's going to compete with that, and you have to work 12 months out of a year.
And now you're building equity in that house. You can sell it in 10 years for $600,000.
Yeah. I just feel like real estate has given me this like freedom to actually go, like, actually live my life to the fullest. Like, I don't have to say no to anything. I can say yes to everything, and I get to be super selective with where we spend our time and where we spend our money. But with that being said, like if I was fancy, there's like 5 days a year where I want to just go blow some stupid money on something expensive. Like I'm not completely t-shirts and hand-me-downs all the time. Like 360 days out of the year, you'll catch me in a hoodie in a hat, no frills. But 5 days a year, I'm like, I will take $4,000 and spend it on a yacht for one afternoon. Like you can convince me to do that.
I have not gotten to that point yet. I don't think I ever will. Like this was $3.17.
Yeah.
And I swiped my card and went,
Yeah, I've passed that. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not. I will not accept that anxiety in my life. You know what? It's money. It comes and it goes. And if I want to do the thing and I have the money to do the thing, I'm doing it. But most of the time, the thing that I want to do is like pretty low maintenance.
see, okay, yeah. I mean, low maintenance, right? Like, I do have kind of an interesting backstory to my life. I've partied, and I've lived in Hollywood and Florida, and lived that life and all that stuff. I've been to all those parties and stuff like that, and I came to the realization. I was in a it was like a big Hollywood Hills party, and I'm 19 years old. Shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be there. And I'm like walking around like, oh yeah, like if everybody from back home knew that I was here, they would like, Bryce, that's so cool. And I was like, oh, I obviously don't want to be here. I just want everybody to think I'm cool. And so I
Yeah.
was like, why? Why am I really here right now? And so once I broke that down, I was like, I don't even like anybody here. Who do I know here? And so I was like, I don't know that. I was like, that girl is like really sexy. I'm not gonna go talk to her. I'm too scared to do that. So I was like, what am I doing here? And so I came to the realization that once I found my people, I found one friend, and I was like, all I want to do is like hang out with you. If I'm with you, I'm cool. We could be anywhere. So once I found my one friend in Los Angeles, we always hung out. We went to In-N-Out Burger every day, and like played PlayStation 3, and like worked on anything together.
Yeah.
Outside of work. And so it was once I came to that realization, I got out of the mindset of like, I want to go to all these cool parties. I want to do all these cool things like for like Instagram purposes, and just kind of like be around the people that I want to be around. And that has opened up that has helped me a lot.
Yeah, it's more fulfilling.
I guess my quest for money is, what do I want this money to do? So I guess another thing in terms of long term, I want to end up becoming the bank.
Okay.
Where I can take a person like me and be like, hey, you want to do this? Here's $200,000 to get you started.
Yep.
That's what I would love to do, because I do have a guy in my life now, because of TikTok, by the way, who reached out to me from Louisville. He was like, I'm sitting on about $800,000 cash. I don't want to put it into a conventional market. I like you. I see what you're doing. I like your story. I want to help you. I want to help you get to that next level.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh shit! Like that hit. Like, I don't think that guy realizes the impact he's made on my. We haven't even made anything happen yet.
Yep.
But just through the friendship that we built, and the fact that we're going to do something in the future, I'm like, that is what I want to become.
Yeah,
and that's guy who seeks somebody out, is like, hey, here's a life-changing opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's something to be said too about being on a platform where you get to be seen. There are hundreds of people that are just like you who don't have a TikTok, and they're looking for that break. And I think that that's why, like, I'm starting to realize, because it's, it hasn't been that long that we've had a big following on TikTok. So this whole like social media influencer thing is like very new. And we just, Emily and I didn't, we always like admired we always have had our favorite influencers, right? That we have followed religiously, and we like have this relationship with this person that doesn't know that we exist. And there is like this kind of like whimsical like scenario to that. But we didn't think about all of the good things that would come from being seen. It's not only that you or us are trying to add value to people's life. It's like this very easy way to freely give back to other people and try and make an improvement in somebody else's life. But all of a sudden it like starts improving your life because people see you, and just being seen brings all these opportunities that you never would have had otherwise.
Exactly. And that's been, what TikTok has done for me is definitely not what I expected it to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I am an attention whore. Oh my gosh, I
Same.
can't get enough of it. And so like me making content was purely based off of let me be in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought anything would actually come of it.
Right.
And now that I like revert back to it, I'm like, I do have quite the personality for a TikTok personality. So it was only a matter of time until it was gonna happen. but I started making the content as like real estate and watch the journey, blah 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 blah, and it became Airbnb guy. I didn't start out as Airbnb guy.
Right.
So it's kind of funny to see that transition of how it started with TikTok and like you said, the opportunities that it has provided. Everything in my life that's happening right now is because of TikTok.
Right.
Literally 100% of it.
Right.
Except like my personal Airbnb that I already have, like the DOTB, TikTok. Mm-hmm. This guy who's like, here, I want to give you $800,000, TikTok. Like that stuff wouldn't happen without it.
Yeah, you need people.
It's crazy to think about.
Yeah. Oh, it's wild. It's just, yeah. I mean, again, like Carwell Design was a means to an end, and we just didn't know how it was going to end or how we were going to transition into a new wave that made more sense, that was a better business model where we had some support. Because your girl's not good at being a CEO all on her own, believe it or not. Yeah. Need help. So just in general, like just the blessings that have come from TikTok just by showing up and being vulnerable and trying to like just give people a peek of transparency into your actual life. Just it's scary at first. You're like, how are people going to receive me? What are people going to think? And now to look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, if we wouldn't have gotten over that hurdle and just started putting it out there for the world to consume, like all of the opportunities that we never would have had presented to us, it's just terrifying. I'm like
absolutely.
Screaming to every small business. I'm like, please get on TikTok. Like, please, I don't care what you're saying. Get on TikTok.
What was your first video? I have a question. What was your first video that ever like popped off? And did you, when you made it, were you like, this is going to be the video that pops off?
No and no. The first video that put us on the map, it was by mistake. It had nothing to do with the content that I was putting out. So at first I wasn't doing any educational or motivational stuff at all. And so I was just, what we would do is we were, rapidly doing these arbitrage units. We'd get them done in a week's time. And so every week I'd have a video of like the before and after of a 1-bed, 1-bath unit. And so I was designing for this super nice woman in Dallas, and she wanted this like very extravagant black and white stripes, murals everywhere, neon signs design. And so I had hired a local lady to create a neon sign for me that said, stay a while. And I put the stay a while sign on the back wall of the dining room. Well, the neon sign said, now looking back, it's misspelled. It says stay, and then underneath it says while. Instead of a while is one word, right? So it's broken up. It looks funny. It's spelled wrong. Regardless, when I posted it on TikTok,
great TikTok. Someone commented about it.
And it's just like it's one tiny clip out of the whole video showing the whole entire unit. But the clip is so quick, and because it's misspelled, it looks like it says stay white. It was so bad. It popped off. I get 500,000 views on it, and the comment section is like, everyone is like just roasting me. They're like, you're racist. Like, why would you put that? And I was like, I'm at a bar. I'm like 2 pitchers of mimosas deep. So I'm like 2 sheets to the wind, and I open up my phone after having like 4 followers, and I look, and it's like all of a sudden I have thousands of followers and just like a sea of hate comments, and I'm like, what have I done? It is terrible. And so
that is hysterical.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, we're gonna have to release like an apology video, like what, like I spelled something wrong, like all the things. So, and the lady who we were designing for was African American, and so it was like an extra layer of like just like chaos. And so Like, she had seen the video, she saw the comments. The lady who made the neon sign was also African American, and she's like, what? Like, it's turned into a whole thing. It was such like a rude introduction into like any sort of TikTok clout at all. But now we all, like, all three of us look back on it and we're like, you know what? Whatever. They can put us on the map.
Are we good now?
Yeah, it was miserable. Oh no, you're breaking up again. Hello. Come back. All right. Well, we're having a bunch of technical difficulties, seeing Bryce was in his car. But we were going to wrap up anyway. We got through all of the questions. So for our listeners, if you are not familiar with Bryce on TikTok, please go check him out there. It's at Bryce Garris. We will drop it below. If you are interested in his DOTB project that he's working on, where he's putting some utility behind an NFT, please go check that out as well. We will link how to get connected with him there below. And then if you are looking to connect with us, we are at SuperHost Labs on all social media platforms, or at the Carwells on all social media platforms as well. So please connect with us and get plugged into our community and get started in the Airbnb journey. But thank you so much for listening. Again, this has been a really insightful episode. I love hearing Bryce's story and how other people get involved in Airbnb and short-term rentals, and his especially. Just goes to show that really anyone truly can get involved as long as you put your mind to it. So thank you, Bryce, even though you were in your car and unable to hop on and say goodbye out to everyone. But thank you again, listeners, for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. See you later.